Hey guys, Deathletter Magic here, and pretty funny article, at least if you have a software design background like I do. It was released today on Daily MTG by, it just says Archive, so I guess not Blake Rasmussen. Instead of just something generic and filler like Archive, they should literally put not Blake Rasmussen as the author. Oh, and then also stop letting him write things. He is terrible. So this one reads, Squashing Bugs in Companion. Now, if you're not familiar, the Companion app is really just the Portal app that they promised, I think, a year and a half ago. And then nothing they said about why it was delayed made an ounce of sense. They had to start over from scratch because I guess they said they didn't like the direction it was going, so they made it completely different. And then the list of things it does is exactly to the letter the same. So anyway, what it's supposed to do is score tournaments if you're not playing at your LGS, which harms your LGS because then you don't go there, spend money, or register new events for them to up their WPN status. And more importantly, it can bring up the Gatherer and card images and rulings in Oracle text, which a smartphone can already do with this wonderful app called Chrome. And much more excitingly, Portal, at least, I'm not sure if the new one is supposed to do this, was supposed to track your status, like your win-loss ratio and stuff at F&M. And the number one feature people were looking forward to was pairings. So you just kind of sign in and say, I'm playing at so-and-so store, and then when the pairings are made in the software, it then pushes it to your phone, and you don't have to get up and look at some, printed piece of paper. And also, it has a life counter. Oh boy, guys, tournament running software and a life counter, that's completely unheard of and unprecedented in the Android App Store. So the fact that a program this unbelievably simplistic can take over a year to make, and the fact that they went back to the drawing board and came up with the exact same thing and probably shouldn't have deleted what they had done so far, it's astonishing. This is what we learned in college for how not to run a software project 101. So anyway, a beta version of it is out for testing right now, and it does next to nothing. So, yay, but they're already fixing bugs in it. So this article is entitled, Squashing Bugs in Companion. So how badly could somebody screw up the code for a tournament scoring app? Well, the answer is this entire article. And by the way, I am not kidding when I tell you that I or any other reasonably okay programmer could write this software in one day. All the code would be functioning in one day. Artwork, different story, but one day, that's it. That's all this would take. If they hired a real programmer instead of some purple-haired activist asshole who has a degree in feminist dance studies. So this article starts with, it's bug week here for the Magic the Gathering companion team. It should have been bug week ever since you released the beta. Every time somebody reports a bug, you should have addressed it, ranked it in a priority hierarchy, and then fixed them. There shouldn't be a week for this. So then they say, this sprint, we spent time cleaning up several bugs. I don't know if they meant spring. I mean, it's fall now. I think this came out in July. Unless they literally meant they're sprinting, it's a metaphor. I don't know. Maybe Blake did write this and they're just covering it up. So anyway, many of them found and reported by you, the players, because they sure as hell aren't going to be bothered to test it themselves, via the in-app email contact. Thanks for taking the time to make Companion the best it can be. Here's a rundown of the items you helped us find. 1. Event failures on certain iPhones. Okay, you know what? If you have an iPhone, you're a failure. The product is a failure. The software is a failure. So what the hell? Might as well make the app fail. Screw you. It's time for Apple to go bankrupt. Stop being one of the cult members and just get a life and get a real product. And also, after our last update, we introduced an issue that caused events to fail to run successfully in certain types of iPhones. Impacted users could start an event, but round 2 would frequently disappear and the event could not continue. How is that hardware specific? How is that possible? That's like a database and code. Code shouldn't run differently on different iPhones. I mean, this is well into the how the hell do you screw this up territory. Anyway, the fix ensures that all supported iPhones now work properly. Well, good, I can breathe easy now. Hey, did you guys know that the type of cancer that Steve Jobs had, and I don't just mean his entire company, was extremely treatable with a very high success rate, but he decided that he knew better than the doctors and he just went on a vegan diet and did meditation and a bunch of other, new age bullshit that's against science. It makes no sense. It isn't supported by anything and does nothing. And doctors on the whole agree that is why he died. And before he died, he realized all of his, new age hocus pocus bullshit wasn't going to work, and allegedly tried to bribe doctors into jumping ahead on the transplant list for organs or something. I don't remember the exact details, but he did something like that, allegedly. So yeah, that's Steve Jobs. Steve, don't put fans on anything even if it overheats. I know what I'm doing. Hey, just copy them, Jobs. That company needs to die. Stop giving them money. So next up, we've got the problem with double buys. And what they say about this is, by the way, 100% false. Let me just preface this. Getting 2 buys is great at a Grand Prix. Yeah, if you're not familiar, if you're a pro player, they rig the tournament in your favor because they want the same person to win over and over and over so that they can have fanboys and they think it'll turn into like the NFL or basketball or something. So they give you automatic buys just because you exist, basically. Oh, you're a pro player. Here, have 2-3 free wins. So that's what they mean when they start the paragraph with getting 2 buys is great at a Grand Prix. Anyway, they go on to say, but when they're awarded randomly in an event, no player should ever receive more than 1. That is false. You helped us track down an issue that was causing players to get multiple free wins in an event, and we fixed that service that pairs players for matches to make sure this doesn't happen in the future. Okay, 1, I have seen twice people get 2 buys at 1 FNM. It can happen, it will happen. Them saying that should never happen is just false. If enough people drop, the same person will get a buy twice. And my old LGS from hell had a bunch of crybaby assholes who would constantly drop, and we'd get a 40-50% drop rate. So then if somebody who already had a buy was in the bottom, they are not allowed to give a buy to anybody in the top 50%. So if that happens to be the same person is getting another buy. That is just how it works. Now, I don't think that they acknowledged that scenario, and also, who gives a crap about this glitch? Because all this stuff is for local scoring in local tournaments, outside of your LGS. All the app has to do, when it fully works the way they intended, is just read out the pairings that are done by a completely different piece of software, the Wizards Event Reporter, which runs on your LGS's local computer. So the app isn't deciding who the pairings are, they're just showing you the pairings, but that part of the app I heard isn't done yet. So what they've effectively done / said by this paragraph is they've introduced a very bad scenario that should never happen because they think they're fixing it. And yeah, these aren't sanctioned events, these aren't, WPN official play. I get it. So maybe the whole 50% rule won't apply, but it should. You should not give a buy to somebody who has a perfect record. That should never happen. For the purposes of strength of opponent tiebreakers, you may have actually just cost that person the entire tournament by giving them a bye. That's why they don't do this. But what they're saying is now they made it so that nobody can get a bye twice, allegedly. So if you're running a 32-person tournament and 15 people leave, and the person in 17th place already had a bye, they're going to give it to what is, according to their own policies, the wrong person. Somebody in the top half of the rankings. Now, at that point, the top half of the rankings could be 3-0, it could be 2-1. You don't want to give a bye to either one of those records because that's just not fair in both directions. It's for the purposes of tie-breaking, like I said, your strength of opponent is then 0, and at the same time, you're giving them a free win when they have very little losses. But I guess from the sound of the glitch, like it was giving people 2 buys just randomly. So they probably just added another check to say, re-roll it again if it's the same person. So that all sounds like a disaster. What's the next problem? The third and final one is random buys. A few companion fans astutely pointed out in an event with an odd number of players, the player who was registered in the event last was the one who always received the first round bye. Oh my gosh. You could go into like a middle school intro to C# programming class and half the class in like the first week probably wouldn't get this logic wrong. This is so simplistic. You would have to go out of your way to write the code this wrong. I'm not even kidding. In basically every single language, you count the number of people participating, send that number to the random function, and say spit out a number 1 through this. How do you fail to do that? How do you automatically give it to 17 100% of the time in a 17-person tournament? You would literally have to code it to do that. You'd have to bypass the randomization function and say, no, give it to this person. So anyway, as they put it, this bug is ripe for abuse. Really, as you can imagine, so we wanted to make sure it was fixed in this release to provide the best user experience possible and prevent anyone from abusing who gets the buy in round 1. Now the buy is awarded at random, just as it should be. Was it actually not random? What the hell was it based on before? Alphabetical order? Knowing them, skin color, race, gender, highest or lowest DCI number? That's been suspected as far as a parameter in the actual WER program. I've got a solution, since I've heard, and once again, I haven't verified this, I heard that the only function of this piece of garbage beta app is to score local tournaments, and that's it. Just use a local tournament scoring app that already exists in the Google Play Store and has okay ratings, because it'll be this, but actually done correctly. And just a reminder, the math and logic for this is so simple. I mean, you write the array of players and anything related to them as like a flat file or a basic database if you want a little bit of extra overhead, maybe even CSV, and just read it back in. Hold the whole thing in memory and make the local text copy just like a backup. And then you do basic randomization and basic ranking, basic tracking. That's it. It's so simple. It wouldn't even be a day. You could write this app in 2 hours. They must have the worst software programmers in the history of the universe working on this app. I have no explanation for this. This is an anomaly in the programming world. I mean, if you're writing an AI, like artificial intelligent, like facial recognition program, okay, there's going to be some glitches. That's hard. This is what you would write as like an assignment given on a Friday. I mean, we had like 3 days to write all of Hangman, the whole game Hangman, and letter guessing and all that stuff and elimination. It's about as hard as this, and everybody in my entire class got an A+ on it. And if you're wondering why I'm getting so triggered of this, it's because 1, Wizards has a history of hiring people who do not know what the actual hell they're doing and aren't qualified for their jobs. And 2, I know how easy this is. It should have been out a year ago. And 3, I was also the programming tutor for my college, not just in the programming field. When I got my degree, at the time, I was also in charge of tutoring anybody struggling with programming, which was a lot of students, and their student assistance department paid me to make sure they passed, and all of my students passed. And all of my students could have written this. Wizards, give me $100, okay? That's like maybe $15 an hour. I will have this shit done in a day. Oh my God. So anyway, in closing, as always, thanks to all the passionate Magic the Gathering Companion open beta testers who have taken the time to help us track down bugs in the app, because God knows the original programmers aren't going to find it through basic testing. And then, this is embarrassing for them. They say, additionally, a special thanks to Yael, the dev who hammered away at these fixes during this sprint. So I guess they're doubling down. They meant sprint. The app wouldn't be what it is without her. Her, you say? I wonder how she got the job. I forgot at last count what percentage of developers are female, but it's 0 if you're round, I believe. But damn it, they found one, and her name is Yael, which is, by the way, Israeli. So I assume they got a stack of resumes like, hey, I have 10 years of Android development. And then they were just like, that's a male. Then toss it, shredder, put it through the shredder. That sounds like a white person name. That's an American name. Nope, get rid of them. Oh, an Israeli female developer. Oh, and they have a liberal arts degree, but they like to watch YouTube videos about how to code. Oh, hire that bitch. Now you might be thinking, Des, you're making assumptions. Yes, I'm making assumptions based on how long this app is taking and how unbelievably bad it is. At this point, if this is the code that somebody turned in for a programming project at my college, I would tell them to consider a different career path. Now, a little disclaimer here, because I know some of you activists, SJW idiots are going to trip in my comment section. I'm not saying that a female or a person whose last name is Israeli can't code. That's ridiculous. In fact, one of the best programmers I know is a female. What I am commenting on is the combination of the state of the app and how long it's taking, mixed with Wizards' very famous, very provably historically racist, sexist hiring practices. In the name of diversity and fairness, they will purposely not hire the person who's the most qualified to do the job. They will find the most, quote, diverse person to do the job. I mean, that's lovely if all you care about is social stuff, but if you actually want to get it done, hire the best person for the job, which I suspect this person is not. I could be wrong. Trust me, really bad management can derail any software project. This could be the best program in the world. And then they're given changing guidelines every single day, not enough time, an improper computer, not enough support staff, and the people making the artwork aren't doing their jobs. I mean, good luck making an app under those circumstances. But it would appear from all the evidence on the surface without knowing more about it that the person they hired to do this is really not good at doing so. I mean, look at the results. And also in the industry, it's not terrifically common to hire one person to do all of the Android and all of the iOS coding. Well, actually, logic and code coding, yeah. Testing and like actual development, no. So there's really only two questions left. When the hell is this app finally going to come out? And if they can't even program basic tournament scoring logic, how the hell are they going to do an entire infrastructure with servers and network APIs and crap that connect to the Wizards event reporter and its database and all that stuff? And how the heck do you know how to pronounce the name Yael, Des? Well, all my old Sleeper fans in the crowd know what's up. Link in the description. Thanks for watching, and now if you'll excuse me, I have to go make a video about League of Legends' awful new card game. I'll see you guys next video.